Yes Sparks STEM kits are brought to you by YesFest and the High Plains Library District. Hello and welcome to this month's installment of Yes Sparks Take and Make STEM Kits. Our project this month is fidget spinners. In this activity, you will be the engineer experimenting with concepts associated with physics and material sciences. The construction of your fidget spinners will require consideration of friction, mass, momentum, torque, and the effects of using different types of materials. A fidget spinner works due to the combined effects of low friction resulting from the use of ball bearings and high moment of inertia associated with the object's shape and weight distribution.
Friction is a resistance force. When two objects rub against or slide over one another, they experience resistance because neither surface is perfectly smooth. How does this affect moving objects? Think of sliding a wooden block over a tabletop. The block will glide smoothly in a straight line at first. Gradually, frictional forces will cause the block to slow down and eventually stop. Now, what would happen if you placed rollers under the block and pushed it over the surface? Do you think it would be harder or easier to move? If you guessed easier, you're right. By decreasing the surface area in contact, you decrease the amount of friction, causing less resistance. Cool fact: the roller method is a very effective way to move large, heavy objects from one place to another, simply by reducing friction. What does friction have to do with fidget spinners? When you spin the fidget, it spins or rotates around a central axis. If you were to remove the center cap of a fidget spinner, you would find a circular bearing consisting of tiny balls positioned between two metal rings. When spun, the rings are sliding over the tiny balls, which helps to reduce the friction. Moment of inertia sounds a bit intimidating. Basically, it relates to rotational momentum along the central axis. Inertia is the tendency of an object to resist a change in motion. An outside force is required to move an object when it's at rest. Once moving, a force is required to stop that motion. Momentum is defined in physics as the product of mass times velocity. Once set in motion, it's harder to stop an object that has more mass. Think of a playground ball versus a bowling ball. Which one would be easier to stop? In a fidget spinner, the momentum is centered around the rotational axis. When designing a spinner, it's important to consider not only the mass, but also the distribution of the mass around that axis of rotation. The arms are weighted to increase the moment of inertia. In other words, the weights on the arms help to keep it spinning. Torque refers to the rotational or twisting force required to get the fidget spinning. And centripetal force is the force acting toward the center of rotation as the object spins. In your Yes Sparks kit, you will find materials to construct two different types of fidget spinners. One will involve the use of a central ball bearing, the other will not. As you assemble, test, and re-engineer your fidgets, lean on what you know about reducing friction and adjusting the weight distribution to improve the function. What happens if you increase the weight on the arms? Does changing position of the fidget from horizontal to vertical affect the spin? How can you re-engineer these designs to make them even better? We hope you've enjoyed working and learning with us on this month's Yes Sparks Take and Make STEM Kit. You can join us again next month for an all-new activity.